So we're going to talk about commercial feeders today. 95% of commercial fishing is either method feeder, hybrid feeder or pellet feeder fishing. So we're going to cover the different ones, different makes. Why would I use a method feeder over a hybrid feeder, for example? So the first thing we're going to talk about is setting the feeder up. And the key thing is to know the rules that you're fishing, so the fishery rules. So Rookery Waters, we allow the Guru X-Safe elasticated or any inline feeder. So the Guru X-Safe, the reason why we allow it is because it's the safest option of an elasticated feeder. So I'll explain why. So this is a Guru X-Safe 36 gram small method. Now traditional fixed elasticated, the elastic comes out from the bottom here, which acts as an absorption for hook pulls, and as just seen there wire, we use that one. And when you're playing a fish underneath the rod tip, you've got the elastic doing the work, and you can just cushions everything. It just works. 9 times out of 10 this is miles better than an inline. But the reason why we allow these ones is, for example, say this main line here breaks. When a fish takes off, you see how easy the line just pulled straight through there. So that is a safer elasticated system as you're going to get, and that's why we allow that particular one. So all the other ones are fixed. So for example, if the main line broke, the fish would just be towing the feed around and be in discomfort. So that's the Guru X-Safe. Now on this system you can change to whatever feeder you want. So you've got your standard method feeder, a slightly smaller one, a mini one for shorter chucks or during the winter when you're trying to put less bait in your peg, or, which I tend to prefer, which is the hybrid feeder. So these hybrid feeders, if you can see between the two, this has got more of a side on it. You can push your bait in. You don't necessarily have to use a mould with these either. So you just thumb some micros or ground bait in first, then you hook bait, then a bit more, and it's nice and streamlined. The reason why I use this one more is because I feel confident when you hit your clip, it goes to the bottom, releases bait. Whereas with this one, I think sometimes with a method, depending on the depth of water as well, when that hits the water, I think a lot of the bait comes off the feeder, and then you're left with a smaller amount of bait on the bottom. So 9 times out of 10 I would use a hybrid feeder. Now if I show you this one here, which is a larger one, Guru do different hybrid feeders for different distances. So this one here is what I'd probably use at Rookery. It's a lot smaller, you're not chucking a million miles, so that particular size there is perfect for that, and during the winter as well. And then in the summer, maybe you want to get a lot more bait in your peg, you'd use a large one. This is a 28 gram, but they also do some long range ones for places like Boddington, Ferry Meadows, places where you're chucking a long way to catch fish, and they do an extra long stem with that. So if the fishery allows elasticated feeders, I always go for the Guru one. You can quickly change. So with this here, I just pull the sleeve off, and there's a little clip there. Unclip that. Let's unclip that like that, and then I can put another feeder on, so I can change from a method feeder to a hybrid feeder, or a bigger feeder, or to a smaller feeder on one rod. So it's really universal. So if I can, I will use that setup. The other range of feeders is obviously inline. Guru do these in inline, but if I fish a fishery that just insists on inline only, no elasticated whatsoever, then I'll go for the Preston ICM or ICS system. It works exactly the same way as you can change from a small method to a big method to a banjo, which is very similar to like the Guru hybrid, or in the winter when you're fishing tight to a bank, a little pellet feeder. The reason why I use that is, if I show you on this stem here, I can just pop that out. Just about see on the back there's a recess, but we're just going to push the stem out there, slide that off, then the line comes out of the back, and I can swap it to a banjo pellet feeder. So say I've swapped it here Put the line in the back, through the middle of the feeder, push it in, push that sleeve back over it, and away you go, and you've changed from a feeder. So for any venues where inline only, or if you just like inline, I tend to go for the Preston setup because it's so adaptable and so universal. Again, Matrix do a like a hybrid version and a method version, works exactly the same as that Preston system there. So when would I use a pellet feeder? I do like pellet feeder during the winter time, just for the simple fact you can just put a small amount of bait, short hook length, 4-inch hook length, and I just feel confident knowing that I'm chucking out and I'm perhaps waiting for a bite after 15-20 minutes. I just feel more confident on a pellet feeder that my bait is tight to my hook bait. It's all mind over matter. Just going back to the inline system, we've got a little quick change bead here, which basically is like a connector that you use on the end of your pole. It works exactly the same. The sleeve slides back like so, and you've got a little hook there. Your loop, your hook length goes in, slide that over the top, and your hook length is fixed into that bead. Some people say, oh, that's a bit of plastic, it's not strong enough. It is. I've never ever had any break. They're brilliant, and it just pegs in there nice and secure and nice and neat. So that's the feeders for commercial fishing.